Go. Hi, I'm Brandon,
I'm Haley.
and this is the Marvelous Podcast, where we rank and review every single Marvel movie, maybe TV show. Maybe we'll get there. Let me click out of this so I can see myself. Uh, and that's what we do. This last week, month, perhaps, we watched Iron Man. So, we will have a lot to say about that, I'm sure.
Pretty good amount.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've taken a somewhat of a break. Taken a pretty big break from doing videos in general, just because I just didn't feel like it.
And we've been playing The Sims.
Yeah, we played a decent amount of The Sims. I don't really know what that has to do with stop making videos, but I mean,
That's pretty
we
much
did
what
it.
we've been doing.
Uh, but now we're back. Some of you, uh, maybe one of you, maybe might be thinking, oh well, Brandon and Haley, I watched all of the first season of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., and you said you were going to talk about that. Well, we didn't, so.
We don't really have the time to sit down and watch a whole season or series or something right this moment.
Yeah. And, we just didn't feel like doing it, so.
But it's true, though. We don't really have the time.
But we did watch Iron Man, like, at least 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
So, babe, well, what did you think of Iron Man?
It's good starting out for the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
Robert Downey Jr. is a good pick for Iron Man.
Mm-hmm.
Gwyneth Paltrow is a good pick for Pepper.
Yeah.
And it is the first movie that you see Happy in for the MCU.
You do. And
Jon Favreau.
It's definitely much more of like a cameo in this movie.
Yeah.
Because Happy Hogan is a character in the comic books. He's Iron Man's driver.
Yeah.
So in this movie, I think it was a thing of him being like, oh well, I kind of want to be in the movie. Yeah, I'll just throw myself in there, which is crazy to see how far that goes eventually.
Right. Especially when he becomes like a main character.
No.
When you get to the Spider-Mans.
It's
stuff.
weird how much of a main character he is. I feel like we can spoil Deadpool at this point.
Yeah.
Because Deadpool has been spoiling Deadpool on the internet at this point.
Yeah.
That he is the one.
He's the one.
He is the one MCU connection in that movie. It's weird. Like I wish it was maybe literally anybody else.
Yeah. But hey.
Okay.
He was the one that was entrusted with it, so.
Yeah. Like the Spider-Man thing, like, kind of makes sense that he's in Spider-Man, but
I don't know. I think Jon Favreau loves Marvel so much he just wants to throw himself into it too.
I think that too.
And he does really good with the movies.
I'm not sad about it. It doesn't make me sad. It's just like, oh, I guess Happy Hogan is like a big fucking deal.
Yeah,
in the Marvel universe.
And he does good with the movies that he directs and stuff. So
yeah. Which he did direct this movie.
Yeah.
I don't have anything pulled up here.
But everybody knows that.
Woefully unprepared. I'm not gonna look it up either. I usually tell you about when Iron Man first appeared. Iron Man is very early. Quite early. Not too long after Fantastic Four.
2008.
Well, I'm talking about the comic books. Not too long after Fantastic Four, Tales of Suspense, I believe is the name of the comic book, is the first issue of Iron Man. And he it's very similar. The comic book origin and the movie origin, but he gets kidnapped by, obviously it's not, Al Qaeda. Al Qaeda as it is in the movies. It's Vietnam.
Oh, cool.
But, so there, uh, instead of Afghan, Middle Eastern panic, which we have in this movie, it's Vietnamese Asian panic in the comic books. So.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
That's cool. But Iron Man came out in 2008.
Yep.
The very first movie to set the MCU off.
Yes. And it does a very good job. It is a very good movie. I don't think that there's a lot that we can say to negate that. I think.
The only thing I have an issue with is the villain. The second villains, I guess.
Tony.
Yeah. But not him, like the terrorists.
Okay. That is the issues that I have with this movie, and I have a couple. A lot of them are the way that they treat things that happen in this movie later in other movies. So I don't know that I can really critique this movie for things that they fuck up later.
I mean, you could, but there could be some people watching this who have never seen any of the MCU.
Yeah, probably not.
Well, you don't know. I mean, if you're watching a Marvel podcast.
Full spoilers for the MCU in this podcast. We're not gonna dance around it. So Iron Man has an arch nemesis, as all good heroes do. Iron Man's arch nemesis is fucking weird. It's a weird character, but it's very specifically weird that it's Iron Man's bad guy. It's this guy named the Mandarin, which you all probably know because deep talk with Brandon here, teaching lessons. He was the bad guy in the Ten Rings, Shang-Chi.
Oh.
Dude's dad.
Oh, really?
Yes. That is Iron Man's nemesis.
Why isn't he in any Iron Man movie?
That's some question. So in this movie that we just watched, the terrorist organization sets themselves up as the Ten Rings.
Mm-hmm.
Leading into, presumably, if there's going to be an Iron Man 2, who knows, maybe we'll get there, that the Mandarin will be the bad guy in that movie. But that didn't happen in Iron Man 2. It does happen in Iron Man 3.
In Iron Man 3, it's one of the worst
And,
ones that we've seen of the Iron Man.
It is the worst of the Iron Man movies. It's not as bad as people paint it to be, but it is weird. It's very weird, and they do the whole Mandarin thing, and God, I just can't even get into it now. It's just such a convoluted, weird way. And then they eventually bring it back around with the movie Shang-Chi, which is very good, I think. But
we'll get there when we get to the Shang-Chi, though.
We will. But it's so weird that they set that up in this movie to be even in this movie, they're alright, well they're not a big deal at all. They shut that villain down, the side villain down, pretty much immediately and easily.
I love how they make you love Tony right as soon as it pretty much happens. Yeah, you're like, oh, he's this billionaire playboy douche, blah blah blah. But as soon as he gets taken, as soon as he gets kidnapped, and he has to fight for his life, he becomes the lovable character, the lovable superhero that you are meant to love.
Yes.
And then his heart is in the right. He's gonna stop the weapons. He's gonna protect everybody he can. Gets pissed off when Obi
Yes. Obadiah Stane.
Obadiah goes behind his back, locks him out of the company and everything, and he still goes to protect them. And then that's when you're like, okay, you're gonna love him no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
I wish they would have put a little bit more of his beginning of the movie more towards the end, where you could love this playboy billionaire, even though he is cocky. You know what I mean? Because compared to this one, to where in like Endgame and all that stuff, his personality completely changes. And it does.
Yeah.
Like, I wish they would have kept him the same as the douchey, billionaire, but the lovable douchey billionaire.
I feel like that's how it always is, babe.
But it's
I
not.
disagree.
It's not. He doesn't. I don't know how I'm saying this.
Stan Lee, who this is the first character that we've talked about that Stan Lee actually like created. Uh, you know how it is. Other people also created, but this is a Stan Lee creation. Has talked about how when he made Iron Man, he specifically wanted to make a character that was against what everybody in America wanted at the time. It was kind of a liberal time in America, and so he wanted to make a character that represented uh, the billionaire class, the industrialist, all these different things, the weapon manufacturer. So all these things that were like opposite of what people thought at the time of like what they wanted, and it turned out to be a hit. Well, kind of, not really. That's another thing we'll get into here in a minute. But it's just interesting that that was what they wanted at the time, and it worked out. And in the comic books, even still to this day in the comic books, I believe, I'm probably wrong. I don't know to this day. I'm not a comic book expert, but Iron Man, Tony Stark, is still a weapons manufacturer.
So the movies is what changed it.
Yes. Like, Stan Lee kind of put him out there as like, this guy is like an asshole and like abrasive and not what the American people necessarily want, but what they need, maybe.
That's where I'm going. Okay, so he grew up, and I think they should have just kept him where he didn't grow up, and he didn't,
Yeah.
get a family and care more about his family and stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where I was going with it. Like, he grew up, he matured. They should have kept him, just plain straight up Tony Stark. Where he loves his assistant, his secretary, but
always banging the Playboy models.
yes. I think that's where they should have kept it.
I a little bit disagree with you, babe. I feel like they do keep that.
They don't, though.
I mean, he even at the end of this movie, like he doesn't end up with Pepper Potts at the end of this movie.
No. And that's what I'm saying. Like, they should have kept Tony from the first Iron Man. They shouldn't have kept Tony from the second or the third
Oh,
or
you're talking about later spoilers.
yeah.
Well,
That's what I'm just saying. Like,
babe, he's in like 20 movies.
I know.
He has to have some character growth.
but no, he shouldn't have character growth because if we go into Captain America, he has no character growth at all.
I
He's
feel like,
the
I don't know.
same through all of it.
We'll get into it, but I
Yeah.
think you're completely wrong about that.
No.
No. Captain America learns to loosen up.
But I don't know. I think they should have kept Tony from this movie through all the movies.
I think that they do. We'll get into it later.
We'll get into it later when we get to the other Iron Mans. But
I have a lot to say about the other Iron Mans as well.
yes.
Because they're very interesting movies. Because we're not talking about those movies.
We're not. We're talking about Iron Man.
But they're just very different. They're like very different from everything else in the MCU. Really, it's weird. But this movie, I feel like, stands the test of time for the most part.
I still think it is one of the best ones made. It is pretty high on my list on all of them. And it is.
I can definitely see that and respect that. I can't come up with a very good reason why it wouldn't be very high.
Yeah. It's definitely, I think, within my top 10. Let me check. I do think it is in my top 10, actually.
So a lot of glowing things that we can say about this movie. It's very good. It's a very, very good movie. It's a high ass caliber movie. But I have some critiques.
Yeah, it is. It's number 9.
Number one, and this is a weird one that I come back to every time that we watch this movie because we've seen this movie a bunch of times. It's the soundtrack. I fucking hate the soundtrack to this movie. Like the score. The soundtrack doesn't bug me so much, but the musical score to it, I just really don't like. They do this thing over and over again, and I can sing it. Dun 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 dun, and it just sucks. I just really, really don't like it. It's really lame. I can't explain why I think it's lame, but I don't like it at all.
Yeah. Here's my first bad about it. They're in the Middle East.
Mm.
And he's trying to build the Jericho bomb for the terrorists.
Mm-hmm.
They have him on 24-hour surveillance.
Yeah.
They could tell he's not building a bomb, but they don't do anything to stop him.
Yeah.
And he somehow had the technology in a cave to build his little thing. What do they call that?
The arc reactor.
The arc reactor. He had the technology for the arc reactor there. And they noticed this is what he said 3 months he's been missing. So within 3 months he was able to build the first Iron Man suit. But not the Jericho bomb. If you're being watched 24/7, you would know that this is not what he's building. And that you would check the progress of this bomb daily.
I mean, yes. You are 100% right.
Yeah, and they didn't. They just, okay, he's building a bomb. He's doing his stuff, but he's not building a bomb.
Yeah, you would think that eventually one of these terrorists would come in and be like, why do you need a helmet?
Right. Right. Or they would actually want to see the bomb and the progress of it. And he's in there for 3 months. And his doctor friend
Mhm.
that's with him who saved him with the shrapnel medal and all
Which
that
is
stuff.
excellent movie.
Yeah, and he saved him from the shrapnel going to his heart and all that stuff, just randomly.
Mhm.
I don't know. It's just that part is just like, how dumb of a terroristic group are you if you're not even checking the progress of what you're having Tony Stark build you?
Yeah, they're not very good.
When you didn't need Tony Stark to do that because, dun 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 dun, Obadiah Stane's in your fucking pocket.
Yeah, that's an interesting point as well.
And he's in your pocket so he can give you all the freaking Jericho bombs you want. So why do you keep Tony Stark alive? To give you a Jericho bomb.
Yeah, they there's a point in the movie where they explain, like the terrorists explain that like we didn't know we were supposed to kill Tony Stark. We didn't know this was the guy.
Yeah. But it was all confidential.
Why wouldn't they know? This is a lot of movie logic bullshit. That we can hand wave, I think.
Yeah, but that's just where it's like, what the hell? This is
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest things that gets me every single time. It's like, this isn't thought very well. And that's my biggest thing with the MCU movies is the plot holes are just like, okay.
There are a lot of plot holes all throughout the MCU and in this movie too. Uh, you, I do think that for the most part, some of the movies are really egregious, but I think that with this one especially, we can,
And
it's okay.
then the whole, this is gonna go like into future Iron Mans, but Terrence Howard.
Yeah.
I don't like how he is a good roadie, and he is a good roadie.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I don't like how the future ones they change him.
Yeah,
I wish they would have kept Terrence Howard.
I can see that. Future Rhodey just doesn't have a whole lot of personality, really.
But Terrence Howard, every line that he delivers is like perfect, and he's got the like charisma and everything to match every line he delivers.
Future Rhodey doesn't have too much of a stage presence, but this one kind of does.
Yeah, and I like how his and Robert Downey Jr.'s chemistry is, you know, oh, these are actually friends. They could be friends outside the movie.
Yeah.
And that's what you kind of need as Rhodey for Iron Man.
Yeah.
And I know the Terrence Howard thing is a huge thing right now. It's brought back up and everything. But I did not mind him as Rhodey.
Oh yeah, I thought he was really fine.
And so that he's the only one that we can actually be like, oh, it's recasted.
Yeah.
Because everybody else isn't. And then I say there's two villains in this movie. The terroristic group and Obadiah.
Yeah.
And Obadiah is a pretty shitty villain.
I half agree. Because for the first half of the movie, I think he's really good.
But you don't think he's a villain in the first half, though.
Which is my point.
Yeah.
I think he really sells the idea that like, oh, he's this guy who's like kind of in charge, but Tony has come back, and now Tony is actually in charge, and he has like this like familial relationship with Tony, like he's like his adopted dad, basically. And I think that plays really well.
I always thought it was more older brother.
Really?
Yeah, that's how I look at it, is he's the older brother who is jealous because dad gave Tony everything and not him, who was his right hand man.
Well, I think that part's definitely
and I think that's why I always thought the older brother part, because I mean they're really not that separate in age. He's had maybe 10 years on Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. And so that's
But-
why I always thought older brother's jealous because Tony gets everything. And then he just gets put back on the sidelines like, oh.
Yeah. I think, especially for the first half of this movie, probably 3/4 of this movie, Jeff Bridges fucking acts his ass off. I really think he's pretty good. But then the last quarter of the movie, it's like, oh, Tony!
One of my favorite lines of the whole part is when they're flying up into the airplane area, and he's like, "Well, how did you?" And he's like, "How did you figure out the ice thing?" The ice thing. And that's also another thing. Like Jarvis, like literally all the way up there. All that technology works all the way up there
Yeah.
without glitching or anything like that. And then Tony ices up, falls back down, and is able to turn his suit back on like that.
You know, they had really good technology back then. You know, with their flip phones and their
Right.
massive laptops.
Right, like 2008. 2008, I'm thinking is the slide phones.
That
And the
Tony Stark
Nokia.
literally uses a fucking flip phone.
Yeah, and the
In this
Nokia.
movie.
And my favorite character of this whole movie is the dumb bot.
Yeah.
Dummy. And when he gets sprayed with the extinguisher multiple times.
Yeah. I will say that's some of the better humor in this movie. 'Cause I don't think a lot of the humor parts don't super land nowadays.
Yeah. But that robot, he was so mean to that robot. And that robot just tried to help him every single time. But that's where I'm getting it. It's 2008, and all this technology was way before its time. Like now we have those freaking see-through computers and stuff, and there are things like that now. There weren't in 2008.
No.
And so the technology advancement that we have now, I would love to see how they would make an Iron Man now.
Yeah.
Because we had that, so what are they going to imagine for the movie?
Yeah.
Because that technology was amazing. All the technology that is in that movie is amazing.
Yeah, there are some interesting parts where Iron Man expands the engine. Like, let me see the carburetors and blah 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 blah.
Yeah. And that he has Jarvis, which is our Siri or our Echo or anything now. It wasn't a thing back then.
Yeah.
Because this is talking like before Facebook. We had Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, it was around that time.
And Stanley's first cameo for the MCU is Hugh Hefner.
Yep.
With the Playboy Bunnies.
It's a good one.
I think he might do Hugh a couple times. I think so. I'm not 100% sure. I'm not quoting that. But I think he's Hugh at least twice. But yeah, I mean, I really don't have much negative to say except for Obadiah Stane.
Me neither, really. The other negative that I have about it is, how quickly he is like, I'm a military man. Like this, I'm down with the mission. We're doing a mission now. Like there's that scene with Pepper a little later on where she's like, Tony, you're killing yourself. You need to stop. And he's like, I don't need to stop. There's only one thing now, and it's the mission.
Oh,
It's kind of a weird thing for you to say.
yeah, like he was done with the military. He's like, all right, well, I could be my own weapon. I could be our own country's weapon. The only weapon that we're ever gonna need is gonna be me. And he just assumes that's what he's gonna do.
Yeah. What do you think about how this sets up everything else in the MCU with all the Shield stuff and the post-credit scene?
I'm sad that the Shield guy, I forget his name,
Coulson.
Coulson. He's only been in ever 2 movies. So I mean, I'm sad that he wasn't in more movies.
What if I told you that there was a whole show all about
I know
him?
it's the whole show that we're not watching right now, but I mean, I'm sad that he was in 2 movies. He was a pretty lovable character, and I cried when in Avengers when that happened. But
Can I tell you that when that happened in Avengers, I was like, okay.
I cried because it was like, oh, he was so nice and so lovable and so sweet.
Oh, I guess I'm supposed to feel sad now.
But I mean, I guess if we watch Shield, Agents of Shield, we feel different. But I don't know. Like, it seems like it went too quick for the post-credit scene. Like, you should have been able to see other things first, and that's why it's weird that Iron Man was the first MCU movie, because we know it's not the first MCU movie.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, you're supposed to watch Captain America, and you're supposed to watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and
Agents of Shield is
after
after Avengers, I think.
really?
Yeah.
Well, then Colson wouldn't be alive in it.
No, it's a whole stupid fucking
Yeah,
thing.
and that's what I'm saying.
No, he's like, it's a whole dumb thing.
But it's weird that Iron Man is the first movie that Jon Favreau made and didn't make Captain America.
Yeah. Kind of. The weird thing really is, and this is like comic book nerd shit, is that they started this with Iron Man because back in the day, Iron Man is like C or D list.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's pretty low on the rung. Like nobody really gave a shit about Iron Man at all. He was just like the guy that sometimes led the Avengers. And even back then, the Avengers were like B or C list. Yeah, whatever. All right. Well, when's the next Spider-Man comic come out? Or when's the next X-Men comic come out?
Right.
So the fact that this Iron Man movie came out and was such a fucking huge deal is pretty spectacular.
Well, yeah, I believe, like, I agree with that. And it's like I'm saying, with the post-credit scene, okay, nobody knew that the MCU was going to take off like it did.
Yeah.
Nobody knew that it's going to be billions of dollar industry like it is.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody just knew it as the comics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that post-credit scene is very, very important because it's the very first post-credit scene in the MCU. But Nick Fury coming to Tony Stark with the Avengers Initiative, knowing he had all of these people already into this initiative and that he was going to have all these people, is odd because it shouldn't have been the very first movie. It should have been Captain America as the first MCU movie, as the first credit, like post credits and everything.
Yeah.
Because you're like, all right, well, I am starting this Avengers Initiative, and I would like you to be a part of it. Which that is the post credit scene, or it's in Captain America, or somewhere in there. And that's how it should have been, instead of just Tony Stark being the first. Oh, well, you know, I'm starting this up. I want you to be a part of it. There's already a bunch of other people behind it.
Yeah,
Like you don't know how far it was going to take off. So it shouldn't have been a post credit scene, I guess. Because what if it didn't do good in office? Like the box office. Then the MC would have died.
I'm sure that they knew that they had something good. Uh, they like to play it off nowadays like that is the case. Like they didn't know. But I kind of feel like they knew, like, and they had the plan. Like definitely not the whole fucking plan. They didn't have Infinity War planned out,
Right.
but they at least had like
Which I'm just
And-
telling you, Infinity War and
Endgame.
Endgame, those are going to be very long episodes because those are my favorites.
Yes, they're my favorites as well.
So
Uh,
they didn't have that all planned out.
yeah, but they had like Captain America planned out, and they had the Thor movie planned out. They knew that they were gonna do that. And they knew that this was the setup for that.
So they had the phases set up like they do now, or it was just all right. Well, this did good, so we'll see how this one does.
I guarantee they had Thor at least planned out.
Yeah, makes sense because we're in what phase 5 now,
Yeah, they're weird with the phases now.
and so phase 1 is Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Avengers.
I think so.
Yeah, that's just where I'm thinking with the post credit scene. But Nick Fury, Samuel L. Jackson. I mean, they've got big stars for this movie.
Yeah.
Like, you can literally say everybody's name and everybody knows who you're talking about.
Part of that might be because of this movie. Because
Robert Downey Jr. was his role, his breakout role back after his.
Yeah. I didn't know who Robert Downey Jr. was before I saw this movie.
I knew who Gwyneth Paltrow was.
I maybe knew the name.
I know her because she married Chris Martin from Coldplay and named her daughter Apple.
Apple Mark.
Yeah, literally her daughter's name is Apple. And that's how I knew her. And then Terrence Howard, he was in... No, he wasn't. Yes, he was. Radio? No,
She was.
that was Cuba Gooding Jr. But Terrence Howard, I've seen a couple movies with him. August Rush. He was in August Rush. And so, I mean, I knew him. So that's what I'm saying. Like, I knew a few of these actors before the movie came out. But,
Yeah.
big actors now.
And I remember I went and seen this movie in theaters. This was the first Marvel Studios movie that I went and seen in theaters. And then I didn't go for a long time. And I remember being really impressed at the time. One thing that we didn't really touch on is the end of this movie. Not the post-credit scene, but the when he has the press conference at the end.
Yeah.
And he just straight up says, "I am the Iron Man,"
Yeah.
which is a really crazy fucking thing. We like take it for granted nowadays because it's like, all right, well, all the superheroes kind of like are out in the open, but back then that wasn't the case. And in the comics to this day, none of the superheroes are out in the open. They all have alter ego identities, and so does Iron Man as well. In the case of Iron Man, they make a joke about it in that scene of Tony Stark is this like millionaire playboy, and that's the alter ego, and he has a bodyguard who is Iron Man.
Yeah, and that's what they were trying to get him to say, but he's like, nah. I want the press. I want the power. Like, I am Iron Man. I am protecting you guys. Nobody else is.
Yeah. So, like, in the case of the movies, it's like such a interesting divergence because that is absolutely what he would do.
Yeah.
Like, that is who Tony Stark is. He would say, like, nah, it's me.
Right. Yeah. That's what I'm saying. Like, they should have just kept his egotistical self, not softened it.
Yeah.
And the whole birthday present for Pepper is just the dress.
Yeah.
And I thought that
That
was
she bought
weird.
herself.
Yeah, that she bought herself, but said it was from Tony.
Mm.
And then the favorite thing that I love that stays the same through all of it is the cheeseburgers.
Yeah. Yeah. The fact that that comes back around
And,
at
and
the end.
it comes back around multiple times throughout the MCU, but that is my favorite thing that always pops up is the cheeseburgers.
Yeah.
That Happy goes and gets at Burger
Yeah.
King. Which everybody knows Burger King does Whoppers. And they don't, like, their thing is not cheeseburgers.
Well, I don't know how much more I have to say.
I think we might be good. I think it's just time to rank now because we've gone through the whole movie.
I mean, do we need to rank?
Yeah. We gotta
I mean,
rank.
it's
we
number
gotta
one.
Put it number one.
I like kind of have the rank. Ooh. I can edit it, I guess.
Yeah, because we put Howard the Duck at 3 because everything else is better.
Oh,
than
we
Howard
did do
the
that.
Duck.
Huh?
Yeah.
Well, for now, Iron. I think Iron Man might be one word, but Iron Mano.
The snow. MSNO.
I'm not very good at typing, so. Iron Man, definitely number one.
Yeah.
I don't see a universe where that's not the case. It's just by far and away better than the other two, and it's by far and away better than a lot that will come after. I think. I mean, even if we keep doing the MCU, the next one we'll do will be Iron Man 2, and it's better than Iron Man 2, I think. From my memory.
I kind
I
of
like Iron Man 2 as well.
I like Iron Man 2 a lot, too.
No.
So, I mean, it could be different because when we do this, we always stop after Captain America. Always.
Yeah.
So it'd be nice to, like, actually push through and see all the other movies that we don't have in our head already from a million times of watching them. And so that's what I'm saying. Iron Man 2, I remember I like it,
Yeah.
but I also, it's been a while since we've watched.
Iron Man 2 is one of those movies that you watch and go, I already talked shit about this. That wasn't that bad.
Right. Right, exactly.
But
And
Iron Man 1 is a movie that you watch and are like, oh, that was pretty good.
yeah, we have seen in the last 9 years Iron Man about 25 times.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, we've seen it a lot. We've watched it a lot. We've tried to start MCU rewatches quite a few times, and
3 times a year for the last, except for this year, it has been about 3 times a year. We're like, all right, we're gonna do this. We're gonna do this, and we always end at Civil War.
we don't get that far.
Oh, we have.
I think we get to after Avengers.
Civil War.
You know, Civil War's pretty late.
Oh, maybe it's only just to put something on them. Because we've watched Civil War a lot. But the villains, I hate to say it, but I think Blade's villain's better than Iron Man's villain.
I disagree.
I think so.
I do think Obadiah Stane is better than Blade's villain. I don't have that list. We can't pull that up. But,
We have
Yeah,
Howard the Duck at 3, no matter what. His villain's a 3. But I think Frost is probably better than Obadiah. Because Frost knew what he wanted and took what he wanted. He didn't rely on Tony's stuff. He didn't rely on somebody else's inventions and stuff like that.
I just think Jeff Bridges is such a good actor, and he does such an acceptable job the first 3/4 of this movie that I think he gets the edge. I think the last part where he finally gets the suit and he like goes fucking crazy, like absolutely fucking crazy, like makes no sense why he would do the things that he's doing.
And that's where it gets me. Is, I mean, Frost was literally the same throughout the whole movie. He never switched up or anything.
But he was just like, he was douchey edgelord the whole movie.
Yeah. But Obadiah literally just switched up completely. Like, he went mad villain.
Yeah. I feel like you could argue that, like, he had been pushed over the edge. Oh, I'm done dealing with Tony shit. Tony! I see you made a new suit, Tony! Jeff, why are you talking like that? You don't have to talk like that. It's like a regular voice thing. You don't have to fuck up your voice like that.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, but are we grouping him in with the terrorists? Because the terrorists are villains in this too.
I don't think so.
And they have a big
I feel like they are kind of shelved. Not kind of early in the movie.
He's still fighting them almost towards the end, though. And they try to kill that boy's dad and the goat.
They do. They do try to do that. Is it? This is gonna go into a tangent. It's gonna last another half an hour. So do I even want to do it?
You have to try to get me to change mine, and I have to try to get you to change yours.
I just had like a totally different thought that doesn't have anything to do with anything. Jeff Bridges is a way fucking better actor.
Yeah. But we're not looking at actors. We're looking at the villain.
I'm
like
not budging, I don't think.
So how are we doing this? Because this is our first villain that we're doing this on. We're 3 movies in.
I think we're just split. I knew eventually that we would have to, like, there would be a movie that we didn't agree on, so we would just have to have 2 lists. But we would have one main list.
And that main list has to be a compromise list.
On the D20 scale, what do you rank Deacon Frost?
On D20?
Mm-hmm.
Can I roll a D20?
I mean, I guess.
Hand me your magic one.
I mean, if you roll a 20, it doesn't count.
It's an 8.
So you think he is an 8 out of 20 villain?
Yes. He's not a top tier villain. He's your just normal douchey villain.
I think that
But
Obadiah Stane is a 10 out of 20 villain. He is right in the middle of the road. I think that
they could have made him better.
They definitely could have. I think that his motivations make sense, and are interesting to watch. The execution towards the end is bad, but everything leading up to that point is good, I think.
But the thing is, where I'm going here is, he just seems like the spoiled rich kid who just wants things for himself. Like, he doesn't have a motive on, actually, a real motive on why he wants to be the villain. Like, he wants to get rid of Tony, yes.
Yeah.
That's a typical...
I mean, there are tons of, like, shitty plot holes. obviously,
And
but
he wants to control the company, but his motive is he just wants to sell weapons, and Tony doesn't want to sell weapons anymore, and that's not like a super villainous motive, I guess.
I think this is an argument for a smarter man than I, but there is a he does have like a political angle of like I want to sell weapons to everybody and I'll sell them to the terrorists and the good guys and we'll let them fight it out and we'll be the winners. He has like kind of that thing going for him.
Yeah. I mean,
That is
I'll give you Obadiah because I know we're gonna have this argument here probably within the next movie or two, and then maybe
when we
I'll
get
have
to Whiplash.
yeah. But no, Whiplash, he's below a 10. But within the next couple of movies, I'm gonna have a different view on the villain than you do, and I
Yeah,
will be able
that's
to
what I said.
fight it better.
We're gonna eventually have two different lists, but we'll have one list that we kind of average out, that
Yeah.
we kind of talk out like this.
Yeah, so I'll give you Obadiah as number 1.
Okay, but it is your number 2.
He is my number 2.
Okay.
And the only reason why is because Blade is still fresh in my mind, and I remember how it's still fresh. Okay,
How so?
because Howard the Duck
Watched
was
that
so
movie
bad.
like 2 months ago.
Howard the Duck was so bad that's gone. So it created this space in my head for Blade to still be there and for Iron Man to still be there because we've seen Iron Man so many times.
You know what, babe?
it.
You've changed my mind. Obadiah Stane is number 2. The demon from Howard the Duck is number.
No, no,
Just kidding.
no. No, but that's what I'm saying. Like, it's still in my mind as the villain, and that's how I'm ranking the villains. Is Frost was the same the whole way. He was just the douchey
He
asshole.
was. I will give you, he was very like unique.
Yes, and
Very,
that is
very
why.
different and surprising. With how good he was. I don't want to say he was good because he was bad.
How good he was for the movie, the
Yeah.
time,
Mhm.
like he was a good villain,
Yeah.
and it can stick out from all the other villains because of the way he portrayed the character.
Yeah. He had a very different personality.
Yes. Now Obadiah, the reason why I'm saying he's my number 2 is he's just your typical bad guy. He's your typical jealous person.
Yeah.
Frost wanted the whole vampires to be able to do all this stuff. Like, his motive was to let them be Blade.
Yeah.
So he had a bigger motive than Obadiah did.
I guess.
And that's why I'm saying that. So that's why I'm saying Obadiah is my second, Frost is number 1. But
Yeah.
I'll give you for our main Obadiah 1.
We'll see. We'll see what happens when we get to, like I said, Whiplash and Hammer.
Isn't the second one that we gotta watch Captain America?
The second Marvel movie that came out. I think actually the second Marvel movie that came out was the Hulk. And then the one after that is Iron Man 2.
But the Hulk is an MCU. It's just Marvel.
It is. They've like retroactively been like, yeah, this is.
Okay. So then the next one we watch is the Hulk. Or are we gonna watch
Potentially.
Spider-Man?
I kind of think that we watch. I want to say
Or
X-Men, but
X-Men?
I want to say X-Men, but
No,
I know that
no.
you're like not down with that.
No. I want to get far away from X-Men to, like, forget how boring it was when we watched it. We've already said that we tried watching it and it was boring for us, so.
Yeah, we'll do Spider-Man next.
Yeah, I think Tobey Maguire.
Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. 2000. One.
Or one. I think it might have been one. Yeah, I think Twin Towers was still in the movie.
We'll do that one next, I think.
Yeah, because I can get it on Stars, so we won't have to buy it. So sounds like a good plan. Spider-Man is next, and we can watch that this week sometime, maybe.
Oh, okay. As I said in winging it videos of the past week or so, these videos are just gonna come out sometime.
Um, we have a busy life. Work,
Yeah.
sleep.
They're also not gonna be edited for the most part.
Nope, he's just gonna put the picture up.
Picture.
Yeah, you've been putting the picture of what movie we're doing.
We'll see if I
It's
even
always
do
right
that.
there above your head.
Well, that happens because I do it in this program. So if that was going to happen, it would already be there.
Oh. Well, this is Iron Man. So,
The first MCU movie in the books next week will be Spider-Man, featuring Tobey Maguire and Macho Man Randy Savage.
and a super, super old Aunt May.
Yes, and Macho Man Randy Savage being extremely homophobic. Look forward to that. For now, I've been Brandon,
I've been Haley.
and you have a marvelous day. Cough.